Alrighty, so welcome to the intro. So, as I said in the last time that I spoke, that there would be a slide. This is the slideshow. There are actually a few slides that we'll run through. But basically, what I wanted to get into now was obviously making good on the promise that there was going to be a slideshow. I am attempting now for the first time to screen record and mic record, and hopefully they'll get in sync, and so hopefully you can hear what's going on now, and hopefully you can see what I'm about to run through moving on for the rest of this year. Okay, so the agenda for today, discuss the title page, which I've done when the title page was on just a few moments ago. We're now going to discuss this agenda page, which basically outlines the projects with all the stuff that's in the works for the future. After that, I'll move into the how-to, which is obviously the big point of this channel, is that all the projects exist because I do have this creative this itch to scratch, that I want to learn how to do new things, and I want to attempt them. I'm not sure what I'll be good at, and obviously I'll run through the different various types of the projects and what they are as they come out, and I'll see how I feel about them all. And so when we get to that slide, obviously I'll talk about that. And then the how-to is obviously me sharing my learning experiences, from what I've done just by trial and error, what I've done by research, what I've done by watching other people and learning and making adjustments on the fly, things like that. So obviously a bit of the how-to about this whole project, this video that you're watching right now, I'll get into that obviously when the time is there, and then again what's next in terms of what we're looking at moving forward from after this video. So getting stuck straight into it. Okay, the projects. I have 4 projects that I want to look at doing for this year. I am completely honest right now that I don't have any plan for time frames, as in whether I'm going to work on one of them for 1 week and go, nah, scratch that, I'm not doing it, or obviously I'm going to try and flesh them all out for a bit more than a month each would be what I'd hope to try and say, hey, I actually gave it a go. But so they involve obviously 4 different aspects. So the drawn voiceover project, okay, that's essentially going to be me drawing something and then talking over the top of it, sort of like a script. So kind of like a very rudimentary animation. Obviously I'm not trying to do a flick book and have a 60 frames per second sort of a deal where you draw multiple things within the 1 second. It would definitely be more of like a one picture for every 4, 5, 6 seconds or something like that. Maybe even longer, just sort of really practice just the having the picture and having the voice and syncing all that up, and obviously executing that as a video. So that's obviously going to include drawing and audio syncing. Whether or not that's a project that is scripted and thought of ahead of time and storyboarded and pushed out, I'm not sure, or if it's just I draw some pictures and then ad-lib on top of it in a sequence and just see what happens. That's one way to look at it. The next one is the podcast project. So that is going to be similar to any sort of regular podcast, is just learning how audio recording works. So that would be, whether I just record a voice memo by myself, or if I have an actual sit-down conversation with somebody. But that would be, like putting in breaks and editing audio, so that, if it's one clear conversation straight from start to finish, great. If there are gaps or pauses or things that I need to edit in and out, then that's obviously an opportunity to learn, but having that actual recorded audio would be important to do that. And then obviously I can play around with having an intro and cuts and a fake ad here or there, something like that in between. So just learning how to work on the audio side of things is the real reason why I want to do that sort of podcast project. Again, what the actual purpose of it apart from me trying to learn those skills. I'm not sure whether or not it's actually going to be something that is worth listening to. Obviously, all of that will be found out in the future. Yeah. The film front of camera project show is probably one of the bigger things that I'm looking at, which is obviously not, a feature-length film or anything like that. It's more of a, so an actual recording, so you're seeing me act and look into a camera, and, hopefully somewhere down the line, it's going to have sort of that multiple angle thing, so whether there's, two side cameras or a front and a rear camera, or a front and a side, or all three or four, or, obviously, equipment is going to matter in what I actually have. Right now I only have, my phones and my phone and my webcam, so I'm not really camera heavy right now, but it's it's one of those, okay, how do we sync up the audio with multiple different cameras, whether I'm acting because that's something I want to do and push out, or whether it's going to be some kind of show, like a variety show, or your section with me doing some teaching or doing some puppeteering, or just talking in front of the camera doing a skit or whatever. Again, it's not for the huge audience and the lols, but it's definitely more for the figuring out how to have multiple pieces of recording sort of going at once, and how I am going to learn to be both a producer of that and an editor of that and an actor of that. So that's definitely one of the bigger ones that I'm looking at doing, especially it's probably the biggest out of these 4 projects that I've decided to look into this year. And again, there's going to be a lot of learning to come out of that one, and I think whether that's the one that I spend the most time on, or it's the one that's the hardest to deal with, or it's the one that has the most production value put into it, I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm sort of at this stage of the year, I've tipped that one to be the big project, but obviously we'll see how all that runs out. We'll see how everything else comes together, and then finally the on-camera drawing show is basically sort of a cross between more or less all 3, where maybe it might just be a camera that's on my hands as I draw and as I talk out loud about what I'm drawing, or about the significance of what's going on, I guess. And so that would be a bit more of a simpler version of putting together the whole production. But obviously I'm hoping that there would be a theme that I'd go there. So obviously whether it's working through telling a story, or going through something educational like a how-to, and just drawing sort of the steps or the characters of what it is, whatever we're going to discuss here and there. And so then you've got the actual product of what I'm drawing, with the hands in frame, or with me drawing it, whether I do a half body shot, or again, I'm not sure whether I use a whiteboard to draw or things like that. And then obviously, if it is on paper or whatever, then there can be, photographs and scanning of the finished product, or of the worked through product, that I can sort of use hopefully as, a thumbnail or a title page, or as a way to end the discussion, and finish off that show. And so again, those are just some of the ideas that I've sort of ruminated on over the first month of the year. Looking at sort of the things that I'm interested in learning about and where I'm getting to. And so these are the sort of the 4 projects that I've looked at and gone, yep, hey, this is actually what I sort of want to learn. This is what I want to start with. And obviously, yeah, depending where it goes, we'll figure things out from there. Okay. So in terms of figuring stuff out, that's obviously the how-to. So explaining how to do each of the projects. So this is where the joy is going to come in learning, and me being a big dingus in not knowing what I'm doing, and trying to figure all that out. And as I do that, I will share with you how I learnt these things, and hopefully again they might themselves turn into quite a good video series, whether again this is sort of the behind the scenes stuff that I do, or this is a new separate project, or one of those 4 mentioned projects actually becomes the how-to project that I put into. Because again, the purpose of this channel, the purpose of me doing all of this, is to learn how to act and produce and perform, to create something. And in doing that, I will learn how to do something, as I don't know. I'm in the domain of the unexplained, of the unknown, as they say, and I obviously have to learn how things are explained to me in a way that I will understand, whether that's through my own, again, trial and error, or research, or watching videos of other people do it, or asking questions with other people I know who are in the scene. And that's, sort of the purpose of the how-to stuff that's going on. And so starting off, with how I did this project, just using the Microsoft Windows, the snipping tool, the one that comes installed on Windows 11, as far as I know. I bought the computer, this was already attached to it. I have a USB microphone that's attached to the computer. I clicked record a certain part of the screen, which is hopefully the part that you'll see. I don't know if it's going to turn out the way that I envision it will turn out, and how that's all going to look. Whether the audio is going to sync up with it great or not. Again, it's a slideshow, so it's not really that hard to sort of put over the top and understand. But I'm really hoping that it works. So that's more or less how I've done this project so far. Obviously, after I finish this recording, I'm going to have to check it for errors, make sure that it, compiles itself correctly and whatnot. And then, once the finished video is working and uploadable, then obviously I go and upload it to the channel, and, that's more or less a completed project. How I'm going to accomplish this for all the aforementioned projects, I don't know at this stage. I've put this on here, obviously knowing that when I wrote that question that I didn't have the answer, apart from sort of what I ran through and how I envision the projects to happen, but how they're actually going to come out, that's all the stuff that I'm going to learn and put out, in a way that obviously I feel comfortable in sharing what I've learned, and how obviously professionally bad I am at it to start with, or how much of a noob I am, or where I learn things from. But that's obviously part of, learning anything that you don't know, is that you sort of have to accept playing the part of the fool at the beginning in order to figure out, okay, well, this is, the parts that occur naturally to me, these are the parts that I really struggle with, and this is what I'm going to actually learn and move forward in and develop in. And so that's, putting down your ego, that's putting down all of the parts of you that you feel, hey, I should be well-vised in this area, and it's basically submitting to the fact that, hey, I am an idiot, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here to learn. So I don't know how to answer question 2 apart from I'm going to give it a go. How it's going to be consistent and dynamic is obviously the fact that, hey, I have committed to making, at least a recorded behind-the-scenes video at least once a week. And there is obviously the part of me that I know that if I'm just recording a behind-the-scenes video once a week where I just talk into the camera without anything else actually happening, that's kind of pointless, and that won't sit well with me. And it's gotten to the stage of my life where, as I've mentioned before, where I'm feeling a certain way that I am in my life, and I am at the crossroads. I really have that burning desire to go and do something in this space, which is what I'm doing. So how it's going to be consistent is pretty much up to the fact that I feel, at least right now, a burning need in me to accomplish something. And I do feel accountable to myself and accountable to my work at this stage of my life, and I am considering this my work. It is obviously starting out as a hobby. I'm not getting paid for any of this. I don't have an audience right now, but it is a starting place. And what they say, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, or the easiest way to eat an elephant is to just start, and it's still one bite at a time. But also, please don't eat elephants, they are endangered, definitely not engaged. I don't know. Being dynamic and changing is obviously something that I hope that each video gets better than the last one. So as you can tell, I'm making mistakes left, right and center. This is a one-take sort of thing, and that's okay. Whether or not I work forward into the future to figure out how scripts work, or I figure out how editing works, and I figure out how I can pause, take a moment, not cough into the microphone, not stutter and spur and say wrong words here and there. That's obviously all part of acting and performing. And then obviously with all the new technical skills that I learn or envision that I will be learning moving forward, that's what's going to be dynamic, is that it's not just going to be the same thing that you're seeing now in, 10 or 11 months time at the end of the year. Is I'm hoping you're going to see a few more, well put together finished projects. And that's the purpose of where I feel I want to see some growth in. So I'm going to be consistent because I'm accountable, and it's going to be dynamic because I'm going to learn and apply those learnings, more or less. Yeah. So what's next is, this. There's going to be a schedule that comes out of some of these projects, whether it's, hey, this is when a video is going to come, or this is, when I'm learning this task, or, the whole how-to thing, or whether I set up playlists on the channel, or whether I just sort of dump everything all at once, or whether I have, a whole new separate channel for finished projects, and this is just always going to be the sort of behind-the-scenes project. I don't know. Again, how professionally you sort of look at it, I'm not too sure. I am happy just dumping everything right at the once right now, but that's because, this is more or less a hobby, home project where, there's 1,000,001, I guess, YouTubers out there, or people who are content creators who, don't make it big and never make it big, and I'm okay if that's not what happens, because that's not the goal. The goal is to learn. Obviously, eventually I want to learn these skills so that in the future I can get excuse me, I can get work in the industry, but that's if what I'm doing is something that I feel that I like. So right now it's something that I've envisioned that I like doing, and I'm actually out here giving it a go to try and figure out, is this going to be something that I'm passionate about and actually want to do, or is this just me holding on to a dream that I've had for, a lot of my life in wanting to make films and wanting to be in this industry, because there's always the sort of, the envision that the grass is always greener on the other side. Like I know what I do for work now, and I know what I feel like I want to do in the future, which is make films, and the work that I do right now is not making films. And when you have that belief that, the grass is greener on the other side, in the unknown, in the nice area of what's ahead, that's what you have to either accept that is reality and then make your move to go and move into that, or live with the fear of never knowing. And I'm okay with what happens, whether it's something that I find out I love doing and it has to become my new career path and my vocation and what I move into, which is great if it is, and if it's not, then at least I wouldn't have died wondering. At least I'll know, hey, I gave it a go, and, making films, making content, editing stuff, producing, that's not my cup of tea. And I don't know that answer right now, which is why I'm giving this a go. So how I'm going to do that, again, what's coming next is scheduling all that kind of stuff out and presenting it to you, being accountable in that, being dynamic with the way that I learn this information and apply it, and be flexible. And so obviously the result of that is that there's going to be content created, and therefore videos are going to start dropping. And that's pretty much it. Click to add text. I'm obviously still in the presentation, figuring it all out kind of mode of the slide. So, this isn't a fully put together, finished project, understanding how to make screen recordings and do it all efficiently and fine. But hey, there's this learning curve that I've just encountered there. And so, obviously after this, I'm going to try and figure out if this video works and if this recording sticks, and upload it, and we'll see how we go from there. But look, thanks to coming into the first sort of, slide video that I said I would come and record. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. I hope you have a wonderful week, and catch you on the flip side.